What's going on, everybody? It's Evil Eddie from Pure Evil MMA, back again for episode number 15 of Evil Intoxicated. The man above me right there, of course, is the infamous Ted Czech. What's going on, Ted?
Eddie, I got to tell you, every time we start this broadcast and the theme music is going, you're going like this, and I can't hear a thing. It sucks, you know what I'm saying? I love our theme music. It gets me pumped the times that I've heard it, but I never hear it before the broadcast. We got to work on that, man, because you're just jamming away. You're like, yeah, dude, this is freaking cool, man. And I'm like, I can't hear a thing.
I'm all into it, feeling all the energy of the intro and shit.
Yeah. I want to get pumped too. Can't I get pumped?
That's great. If we got any new listeners, make sure you guys subscribe down below. Of course, follow us on Twitter. I'm at evil_echo. That's EVIL_ECCO. You can find Ted on YouTube. Just search Ted Czech. And also on Twitter at Ted Czech. That's not CHECH. That's CZECH. So make sure you guys get that right. It was a wild week in MMA. We're going to be discussing all the latest news. Definitely a busy week between the UFC 205 press conference, the weekend's fight, UFC Brazil. Crazy, man. Yep. Were you able to watch that before we even get into it? Did you like what you saw? I liked it, Eddie, and I liked what I saw in Brasilia. I liked what I saw in Japan with Ryzen. Yes.
So yeah, we have got a crap ton to talk about, and of course then the UFC 205 presser, which was just off the chain. So we got a lot to cover, and I'm glad that everybody's here in the chat room. Ann's there, Edward Carbajal, Rusty Enerwine. Sammy was checking in, so this is awesome. Everybody just join in with us on the chat room, and any questions or comments you got, just fire away.
And our boy Eddie that you were just mentioning, that's in the chat room, he was actually there at the UFC 205 presser for his work, front row media, I think they're called, and he actually got to ask Dana White one of the questions. We're going to be getting to that in a little bit, and I actually have his picture all set up. I had to take a picture of my TV once I saw my boy up there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you did a life hack. You just took a picture of it like that. Yeah.
Dude, I was pumped, man. You only live once. People are saying that's one of the best UFC pressers there ever was. I can't wait to get into that with you, Ted. Also, guys, like Ted was just saying, the Risen events, we're gonna be kind of scratching away at that. And it's episode 15, Ted. We did it, brother.
We did it, 15. This is awesome. Oh, by the way, Edwards, the company is Front Proof Media.
That's
front
right.
Proof.
What did I say? Front leg?
Front row, like you were thinking of Front Row Brian.
Oh, maybe.
You're thinking of that dude on Twitter that he's like hit or miss. He's Mr. Hit or Miss. Sometimes he's like dead on with the insider information he gets, and then other times he's like way off base. But Front Proof Media. That's what Edwards with.
It's crazy how many people you meet on Twitter, and I actually got to meet Eddie at World Series of Fighting 31 not too long ago. Like I said, we're going to get into that, but Ted, how was your weekend, brother?
Oh, the weekend was great, and I was driving all over, because like I told you before, my kids are involved in lacrosse and soccer and everything like that, so driving all up and down the eastern seaboard here. So, so it was awesome, and we're here. It is Hump Day. Hump Day. Mike. So anyway, so it's great. It's the middle of the week. So now we're over that hump, and we're starting to think about the weekend. We're starting to think about what's coming up. Oh, we got fights coming up and stuff like that. So it's great. It's a great day to be an MMA fan.
And guys, just to let you guys know, at the end of the show, the way we usually do it is, the way we start the show is, we talk about last weekend's fights, if there is one, and there's been a fight every weekend, and then we're going to cover next week's fight, which is, of course, John Dodson versus Kansas Stone Lineker. So I'm looking forward to that.
That's right. We didn't talk about that, Eddie, in our show prep, but let's at the very least, let's talk about the main event.
I mean, Yeah, definitely. We're definitely going to talk about the main event. I don't really know who else is on that card either, so we'll take a look at it evenly, all right? Because I don't even think our listeners really know either. So we'll all do our research together.
All right.
So
go ahead, man.
just make sure you guys subscribe down below. We do the show every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. I know the Ultimate Fighter's going on right now, but you got DVR. You can DVR it. Be part of our chat room every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. if you're listening to us, and it's Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. Ted, we actually got 100 views last week on our episode, so congratulations. And also, not to mention, our little segment of the end of the world was a big hit as well. I did a little clip-off segment of that, and that got a bunch of views. So, stirring up the pot there.
Oh, yeah, about, it's the apocalypse. Name the 5 UFC fighters that you would take with you.
Yep.
Yeah, that was great. I had a lot of fun doing that. I had a lot of fun.
And, of course, I know I was promising you guys that we were going to try to get Angie Jabs on, but once again, it's a Wednesday night, and Angie Jabs is sleeping at Hannah's house. The girl with the dreadlocks.
What is going on here? Oh my God! And you're stuck with the rats. And
so wait, listen to this, Ted. So today, me and Andrea got into an argument because she wants to bring home yet another baby rat, bro. So I was like, is 6 not enough?
Look, in that case, you guys just should go into business. although you know what? On the other hand, she's not going to want to sell any of them, so I don't know how lucrative it's going to be.
She told me she would leave. She would leave if she couldn't get this rat. I was like, what do I do?
You're kidding me.
So what do I do here? So you know what? I was like, fine. Actually, I didn't say fine. So if she's listening to this, I'm not really saying fine right now.
Dude, you got a serious rat problem.
I got a rat issue.
You got issues.
That's what you got. And you know what? Usually on the East Coast, when you hear that, it's not they're not in my walls. No, they're in cages and they're living the life, man. We got one little rat named Ruby who's living on our couch. He's all potty trained and stuff. So, you know, I do enjoy it. I do love her. But enough is enough, man. I got half a dozen rats already. So. Oh,
check this out. Speaking of that, I had a mouse in my garage. Like a field mouse.
Yep.
All right? Seriously. And so it was under some... I had, like, some tarps in the corner of my garage. So I started taking... I figured... I had heard that the mouse was there. My wife told me about it. So I'm taking the tarps out of the corner, and there it is, right? As soon as I laid eyes on it, the thing starts running. It's a female, and it's got babies.
Ooh.
It's got little tiny babies hanging onto its titas.
Yeah.
And the thing's running, and as it's running, the babies are falling off. I'm not kidding.
What did you do? Did you come back for them?
These poor little babies were dropping off of the mama as she's running away from me. I had 2 nets, like 2 fishing nets. I'm trying to catch the mouse with the nets. I couldn't catch her. I don't know where she went off to.
Yeah, because apparently, like, I know if they're anything like birds are, if you touch any of the babies, they will kill them.
Well, here's what I did. She had formed a nest.
Ted
right?
Confessions. All right.
She had formed a nest with just like grass and whatever she found in my garage. She made a little nest. I used like a piece of paper and I scooped up the 3 little babies.
There you go.
And the nest and put it in like a bucket or like a little pot.
You're trying to hook them up.
So I kept them there, and then my plan was I was gonna catch the mom with a humane trap, with a no-kill trap.
Yeah. And
then reunite everybody and like drive to a couple miles down the road and set them somewhere.
There you go.
But my plan was screwed up because I couldn't catch the mom, and then the babies didn't make it.
Oh, so Ted.
Yeah.
My question to you was, when you originally went into through the garage to kill this rat, did you expect any heartache like you experienced, brother?
No. Well, no.
You ripped a family apart.
Oh, no. I love animals. I do. I do. Here's the craziest part, and then we'll get on to the MMA, to the UFC. The craziest part is she bit her way into my garage, the mom, because you have your garage door and you got like those weather stripping on the top and on the sides.
Yeah.
She gnawed her, and it's like a vinyl. She gnawed her way through the vinyl weather stripping to get into my garage. No lie.
The Tyvek you're talking about?
It's like a 1.5, 2 inch weather stripping.
Yeah.
Wild, around your garage door.
That's so crazy. Yeah, dude.
Insane.
So it looks like we both got rodent problems.
We've got rodent problems. Yeah. I've got a hole in my garage.
So,
Anyway.
all right, let's get into today's show. If we got any new listeners, me and Ted have been uploading the audio onto SoundCloud. So if you guys want to check out the podcast on your way to work, whether you're going for your jog, going to the gym, going tanning, even though it's getting a little cold out, definitely check out Evil Intoxicated episode 15. That will be up on SoundCloud right after this. Ted, let's jump right into it. UFC Brazil.
Right.
Let's start with the Paul Felder fight. Listen, we all talked to Paul before going into this fight. It was going to be a great fight between the two. It did not end the way we wanted it to. Paul got a huge gash into the side of his head and still wanted to go on and fight this fight.
Oh, of course he did. I mean, he's a fighter through and through. You talked to him. I wanted to ask you, Eddie, because you talked to him prior to this. He talked about his dad, right? Because his dad is stricken with cancer.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
So his father is diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and when I was talking about him, he was really upset about this, really wanted this win. He was saying that this fight was for cancer and all the bullshit that we have to deal with, that he was going in there and that's what he was fighting for. Not specifically saying he was, going to destroy Trinaldo because of cancer, but, he got his father in the... He's fighting to know that the other people that are out there that have family suffering from cancer, like I have in the past, he's going out there, he feels our pain, and he was going to put everything he had into this, and he definitely did, man. He did not want to stop this fight. Very even fight, though, back and forth. Trinaldo ranked number 15 in there would have been huge for Paul. I don't think anything was taken away from Paul as a fighter here. It's not like he lost horribly. It's just the circumstances were... where he got cut, very bad cut on his eyebrow and just couldn't finish the fight.
Yeah, it was a doctor's stoppage in the third round. Yeah, I mean, I love Paul, but I guess if I could, just looking at it as objectively as possible, I mean, he did get taken down by Trinaldo.
Oh yeah,
and that's when he caught that elbow. I mean, it was a well placed, beautiful elbow. Opened him right up. I mean, the gash was like 2 inches.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, did you see the Instagram photo afterwards that he put up?
Yeah, matter of fact, all of our listeners are looking at that right now.
Okay, stitches and glue to close that up. So, I mean, Felder, what Felder's looking for, I think, without having talked to him, he wants somebody to stand and bang with him, and that's great. But what do you do when somebody doesn't want to do that? What do you do when somebody doesn't want to just stand right in front of you? What do you do when somebody counters you? Just one example, he would throw a leg kick, Trinaldo would come back, bang, 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 with like a combo, and then, takedown. It's tough. A lightweight division is very, very tough. Paul's had some great wins. I love that spinning back fist that he does. That was awesome. If that connected, he probably would have opened up a gash on Trinaldo. So, sometimes it's the luck of the draw. Who gets the first big crack on the other guy, first.
Yeah, Paul was literally just missing him. Trinaldo, definitely props to him, man. Even in the post-fight speech, he wasn't thinking about himself. He was congratulating Paul. He was saying he wants to open up a gym for the children out there in Brazil that, just don't have money to, take classes and stuff.
Right.
God bless that man. He's more than a fighter as well. Congratulations to Paul. I know that he'll be back in there very soon. Roy Nelson versus Bigfoot Silva. Ted, are you ready for this?
Yeah, man. Yeah, that was let's do that one next. Absolutely.
So, Roy Nelson versus Bigfoot Silva. Everyone was calling a first round knockout. I was saying, Bigfoot Silva, he's probably going to try to play it a little more safe. If he does get in a situation where they start banging with one another, he's probably not going to engage like he has been, where he's been getting caught and knocked out. He's been backing off. However, it gets into the second round, and he didn't stick with that game plan and just started to bang it out. Gets caught with that, an uppercut. And
I watched the game. It was like a combination. I know there's a name for it, but it wasn't like a textbook uppercut. It wasn't a cross. It was kind of a little bit of both. A bit of both.
A little bit of both.
A little bit of both. Boom! But it was on the chin. Boom! So he goes down, and Nelson follows him as pretty much any fighter would, except if your name is Mark Hunt, then you just walk off. But he wasn't out at that point, and I think Nelson knew that. So dang, as Boss Rutan would say, and probably about 4 or 5 more shots, and that's when Big John called it. But then Nelson said afterwards that he had a conversation somewhere in there, and he was telling Big John he's out, and Big John said, no, he's not, keep going. And that's what got Roy Nelson mad, and then he walks away from Bigfoot, turns around, walks back, and kicks Big John in the arse. Nelson says, it was more of a push. Doesn't matter. The fact is, you put your hands or your grimy feet on the ref. That's the thing. You never touch the ref under any circumstances.
Now, we've seen this before in the past with Jason High.
Right.
And even I said it, those punishments were a little bit too much. I don't know. Even Dana White said it on the podcast. It was UFC Unleashed with Matt Serra. He was just on there in regards to this subject. And he said that Roy Nelson should get canned and buried for this. That's not up to him. That's up to the commission, I guess. But he's not happy about this. He wasn't happy when Jason High did it either. We all know that Dana White has his favorites, and he even said it on the podcast. And I'm just repeating what I heard. But Dana White's not happy about it. What's your thought on this? What's going to happen here? Is Roy Nelson going to be kicked out of the UFC? I don't think so. What do you think, Ted?
Well, I think if I remember correctly reading, I think the latest was that I guess it's CAB MMA, which I don't know how that translates, but somehow in Portuguese it's the Brazilian Athletic Association, or it's the State Athletic Commission or Federal Athletic Commission for Brazil, right?
Yep.
They are investigating Roy Nelson, so he could get some type of sanction, right? That's one thing. Now the second thing is with Jason High. The UFC actually, tore up his contract. I think that was after the Athletic Commission, maybe it was Nevada or wherever, they did something. They maybe fined Jason High. So then the UFC in turn said, okay, you're done. You're out of here. Now, what somebody was explaining to me on YouTube was buried. The term buried doesn't necessarily mean, it's a pro wrestling term. This is what somebody was telling me. Buried is a pro wrestling term, which just means that it's going to get very difficult for you to earn a living. It's not necessarily that the UFC is just going to, hand Roy Nelson his pink slip. They're just going to make it very difficult. Maybe they'll just put him on Fight Pass fights, or maybe they'll give him, maybe they'll stretch things out, and you won't see him in the octagon for another year or two.
Which is a shame. Because he's definitely
give him a really, really tough fight. They'll give him the absolute worst fight possible. Another Derek Lewis type thing where he gets absolutely destroyed. I mean, dominated. Let's put it that way. I said he should get fired. I think it's one of these black and white issues where you put your hands on the ref. That's it. You're done. You know it. You know it going into it. No, under no circumstances. If Roy Nelson thought that he should not have punched Bigfoot any further, he should have stopped. He could just stand up and walk away. And at that point, Big John would move in and either determine, he's out. He probably would have determined that. I don't know that he would have, he can't stand him back up. This isn't boxing, so he wouldn't have been able to stand Bigfoot back up and say, okay, fight. If Bigfoot couldn't intelligently defend himself, he would have called the fight. So Roy could have backed off.
Roy was also saying, I could have done the same thing that Mark Hunt's done in the past in that fight with Frank Mir and just walked off like that. And his point here was, me and Bigfoot, we have a relationship. He has family to go to. We've been fighting for so long that we've become close with one another, despite whether we wanted to or not. And, especially Bigfoot, Ted, you got to agree with me here. Somebody who probably should be taking something to help him if he still wants to continue his UFC career, because those first round knockouts are definitely piling up on him, and they're gonna come out years later, and it's gonna really affect this man's life. So in the second round, getting knocked out, I think that and I'm not gonna say he should retire, but I think he should definitely be careful.
Yeah, I mean. And then he was quoted as saying, I've got years to go, man. I could fight into my 40s and 50s. And it's like, dude, are you insane? Relationships. That's the takeaway with me from all this. Relationships. Number one, I think the friendship between the two got in the way of this fight. I think if Roy Nelson wasn't friends with Bigfoot, he wouldn't have felt so bad
True.
about punching the guy in the face. Okay, that's number one. Number two, the relationship between Roy Nelson and Dana White has really never been good. It's always been crappy.
We saw that on season 12 of Ultimate Fighter. You know?
Right. Yeah, Roy Nelson described it. He says, hey, it's like a married couple. I'm the guy. Yeah. I go out, I do the fighting. Dana White's the wife. He stays home and flaps his lips.
Yeah. Yep.
So I don't think Dana White ever got over that. And, you know, I wouldn't either. You know what I mean? But and I remember what you said. He was like, he needs a haircut. Dana White was saying he needs to clean himself up. He looks like a scumbag or whatever. You know, with the long hair and the beard and all that. He doesn't look presentable.
So there was an article that was released last year, Ted, which I have to mention. Roy Nelson is one of the lowest paid fighters in the UFC compared to his star status that he really does have.
So he's already getting buried.
he's already been getting buried. So I just wanted to mention that really quick. I want to know what you guys think. So let me and Ted know on Twitter at evil_echo. That's EVIL_ECCO. And make sure you guys tag Ted as well. That's TEDCZECH.
Oh, here's the other thing, real quick, Eddie. Because Rusty was saying if Roy didn't know Big John, it wouldn't have happened. Because hasn't Roy Nelson been critical of Big John in the past? I think it was Minion was mentioning this too.
Sammy was as well.
Oh, Sammy, my bad, Sammy. Sammy was mentioning that that Roy Nelson had a problem with Big John in the Derek Lewis fight. I'm not sure what that was all about. I mean, Roy's performance was not so great. He lost by split decision?
Yeah.
But I mean, he had like 4 significant strikes, and the Black Beast had like 50 significant strikes. So I'm actually not sure how it was a split decision instead of unanimous. But whatever. Roy Nelson has been critical of Big John in the past. So again, relationships, how you deal with people, how you get along with people, or how you don't. I mean, so it makes the world go round, right?
Yeah, there was a lot of emotion there. I got to give a shout out to Big John McCarthy for being a professional and not reacting right away. He kind of stuck with doing his job.
Right. Oh, just thought one other thing.
Okay.
One other thing. Let's go in here. Big John. I know what it was. Roy was saying, hey, I was talking to Big John about things beforehand, and Big John was saying that knee on belly is a position. And then Roy Nelson was saying, well, that could be a submission. Why don't I do it to you? And I'm thinking, okay, Roy, you're a black belt, but you know what? So is Big John McCarthy.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's no slouch. He's taught Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's taught police officers. He's a former police officer. He's no slouch in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So, I mean, I can't think of a better ref personally.
Yeah, I mean, you just shouldn't lay your hands on there. There needs to be settled rules now that if any fighter does decide to put their hands on there needs to be something written out that they know the consequences of their actions. So moving on, Ted, are you ready to move on?
No, Sammy weighed in. He said, I think Roy was mad about the stand-ups in the Lewis fight. Okay, so when Roy had the advantage and he was on the ground and Big John stood him up, apparently, much to Roy's chagrin. I guess Roy thought it was too quick of a stand-up. Me personally, I mean, you get a warning, let's work. As Big John goes, okay, let's work. If you don't work when he says work, up you go. Like he doesn't fool around. If your hand's on the cage, he slaps your hand. I like that.
And that entire fight, Ted, Roy Nelson was just really trying to wrestle with Derek Lewis. And every time they broke away, Roy Nelson was getting hammered with huge, devastating shots. It was hard to watch almost, but the legendary chin on Nelson held up, and I don't know how that was a split decision either. I thought that Derek Lewis definitely won, even though he did. And even Derek Lewis was saying, if you guys don't agree, I'm open to do a rematch. All right, moving on to the next fight. I got to give props to our boy Philip Nover. He did a lot better than a lot of people thought that he was going to do here against Henan Barao.
Well, yeah, I mean, not bad at all for a guy who's, I mean, I don't know his schedule. You've talked to him, but you could say he's a part-time fighter. I mean, he is a full-time nurse.
Yes.
He's an emergency room nurse in New York City. I don't know how he finds time to train. So I think he trains with Renzo Gracie, if I'm not mistaken. But I don't know where he finds the time for that. I mean, you know, you can put in 50, 60 hours a week as an emergency room nurse, and that's it's brutal. It's brutal.
My
Trust
mom
me,
does that.
my wife does it. So yeah, and your mom.
Yep.
So yeah, Philippe Nover, not bad at all. Not bad at all against a guy who was one of the top pound for pound fighters in the world not too long ago. Was on what was Hanan Barrow on, like a 10-year winning streak?
10-year winning streak. Yep.
Yeah, insane. Now on the other hand, with Barrow, this was a move up for him to 145, right?
Yes.
I noticed it. You know, I noticed the weight gain. I could see the weight gain around the middle. Not saying anything about myself, but you know, we're talking about a professional fighter here, and I could see that, you know, he was carrying a little bit. He probably didn't gain that much muscle. Probably just gained a little bit of body weight to make that 145. It looked like to me. And I would hesitate to put Hanan Barrow against the top 10. I'm not so sure. I wasn't that impressed. I mean, he looked good. But, I mean, when you look at the Murderer's Row, you know, Conor McGregor, the champ, Jose Aldo, Frankie Edgar, Max Holloway at 3, Lamas at 4, Swanson, then Pettis, then Stevens. I mean, those guys are killers. They're killers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, but, you know, Barrow, you know, he's got a chance. He's got a chance.
Oh, yeah. Bro definitely has a chance. But Philip Nover, man, he definitely put up a huge fight. I think Barrow didn't underestimate him here, but definitely thought that he probably could have got a knockout or submission on him. And as the fight went on, you could see that Philip Nover was gaining more confidence in himself.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, good.
So I just wanted to give a shout out to Philip Nover because I got to talk with him before this fight. He was ready. He was confident. And I know a lot of people, you know, they say that they're confident. He looked confident. And at the end of the fight, he ended up, you know, even though he lost, he learned a lot about himself, and to even fight a high caliber fighter like Hanan Barrow, he learned so much. So watch out for his next fight.
Right, and I think he definitely earned it. I mean, even though he lost, I think I'm sure that I'm sure he learned a lot, and I'm sure he impressed the UFC brass. So yeah, look for him to fight again for sure.
So moving on to our main event, Ted. Before we even jump into the result of that, a lot of speculation going around that Chris Cyborg didn't actually make weight. And there was a video that surfaced on YouTube about this. Right. And let me just find where my note was. I'm trying to think of his name. George Lockhart. George Lockhart went on the MMA Hour with Ariel Helwani to address all of this because, of course, it said that she really was like 141.6. It was going between 141.6, 141.3, let alone that her clothes might weigh quarter pound, maybe half a pound. We don't know.
She went down to nothing, though, at one point.
The point is that George Lockhart was trying to say that the scales over here in the U.S. only go by 0.5, and we clearly saw that that's definitely not true. So Chris Cyborg should have definitely given at least some of that paycheck to Lena Landsberg if she didn't actually make the weight.
Well, yeah, you makes you kind of go, it makes you wonder if the fix was in, because the event was held in Brazil. Cyborg is Brazilian. You got Brazilians presiding over all that stuff. So, the fix might have been in there. They say, that's good enough for our countrymen or woman. But yeah, that I mean, it was absolutely a horrific weight cut for her.
25 pounds, allegedly.
Well, yeah. I had read that I think Cyborg actually told Landsberg later on at some point that she was 30 pounds heavier by the time she stepped foot in the cage. Okay. She was at $170.
Yep.
That's insane.
It is insane. I mean, you got to think out there. I know that you guys are probably used to hearing these fighters with these weight cuts, but if you can imagine your body going through all of that,
I can't.
It's crazy.
No thanks.
Yes,
I mean, she actually collapsed there in that video that you're talking about. She got on the scale and she basically just sank. And I think that was Ray Elby who was comforting her, because I think they're together. Magical Ray Elby. I think that was who that was in the video. It was hard to tell, but anyway, where he gave her a kiss on the head and was like comforting her and everything. Whew. Man, but yeah, so to the fight itself, right?
Well, wait 1 second. Before she went into the fight, there was a documentary crew going around with her to kind of point out the dangers of weight cutting. And I was surprised after the fight that she didn't bring any of this up, saying, why don't you give me my own weight class? We're going to get into that. Let's jump into the fight, though.
Oh, all right, yeah, sure. Well, yeah, the fight. What can we say about the fight? Was it Landsberg's plan all along? Was her game plan to use her face
We
to
called it,
block
Ted,
Cyborg?
last week.
Huh?
We called this last week. We both said that we thought Cyborg was going to, like, we called it last week. We called it last week that, Cyborg might be a little more patient, that Lena Landsberg was going to have a game plan to try to drag her out into the second round. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Right,
exactly
but no, but seriously, was that, not seriously. What she said, Landsberg said afterwards, that she'd never been hit that hard. In her 40 Muay Thai fights and then, 7 fights in mixed martial arts, never been hit that hard. Well, yeah, she's being hit by a 170-pound woman.
Yeah.
Somebody who's 30 pounds heavier than her. I mean, she probably gained a little bit of weight. Landsberg, maybe Landsberg gained 10 pounds or whatever. I don't think she gained anywhere near 30, though. But yeah, she offered very, very little, if any, offense. As far as I'm just going from memory.
She didn't even land many shots at all. I think she landed like one nice elbow, and that was really it. She wasn't able to do anything. Chris had a perfect game plan, putting her up against the cage and having that hook. She just couldn't get out, couldn't land anything.
Right. Very powerful, strong.
A lot of people didn't think she'd make it out of the first round. That's my point last week, that it was going to go into the second round, and that's exactly what happened. Lena Landsberg just couldn't take that power of Chris Cyborg's fists.
Yep. I mean, well, it makes you wonder, when I think about these Brazilian cards, do you think this is actually a concerted effort by the UFC? Like, they have one side of the card that's all Brazilians, right?
Yep.
And they're very careful, I think, about who they pick on the other side to face those Brazilians, because they want the Brazilians to win, I think. When they're in Brazil, when they have these cards in Brazil, they want the Brazilians to win because the Brazilian fans
will go crazy.
Go crazy, and they want they go crazy because they want to see their countrymen, countrywomen win, and they'll kill you if you beat their person. You know what I mean? So it's like the UFC. I think I don't mean to be like a conspiracy nut here, but I think they do. I think they really, really look hard at who they match people up with in Brazil. Now, I mean, there's always exceptions. Stipe Miocic, but I don't know. What do you think about that?
It definitely makes sense. It's definitely something that you need to pay attention to. Time after time, you kind of scratch your head wondering, and you make a great point. It's not a bad thing, Ted, to think outside the box, and I think you definitely make a great point there, because if you look at the last couple of cards, Cyborg versus Landsberg, not really the best matchup ever to make, because it was kind of a gimme fight, if you ask me. But then again, we can't really say that because we didn't really know Lena Landsberg coming in here. But you definitely might be right on that one.
Although I kind of got the feeling that not too many other people wanted to fight Cyborg, and Landsberg was like, pick me, pick me, pick me. So, you know what I mean? What are you going to do? It's like the kid in the front row who answers all the questions. You go to that kid because the kid knows the answers. Well, she was saying, pick me. Okay, fine.
Yeah, definitely. And congratulations to her for getting into the UFC with this. Do you know if she's had more than one fight that she signed here? Or
I'm sure she probably signed a contract,
2 or 3 fights?
Like a 3-fight deal. That seems kind of like the standard practice.
Man, her eye was just so tender afterwards. I don't know if you saw that, but her eye was literally like so blown up. So after the fight, Ted, the post-fight press speech, everyone, once again, was at the edge of their seats waiting for her to call someone out. We always wanted her to call Ronda Rousey out. She didn't say anything about the weight cutting or anything opening up a new division for the female weight. She was just saying, I just want super fights. She's such a good girl, man. She's not what a lot of people think she is. She has a good soul.
Okay. But she did later on call out Ronda. She wants. I think
This always happens too. She doesn't call
tweeted
it
it
out
out.
in the ring.
She tweeted it. There was a tweet or an Instagram, whatever, on social media. She said, "Hey Ronda, you and me, Super Bowl weekend."
That's right, because Ronda apparently told Dana that she definitely wants this fight.
That's crazy because hasn't she been ducking Cyborg for a couple of years now?
I don't know what to believe most of the time here, Ted. When UFC officials release any kind of information, you kind of got to guess. And we saw that with this whole UFC 205 preparation. And we're going to get into that in a second. Just, you know, they kind of honey dick you a lot.
I love that term, man. I love that. I first learned about that on that movie, The Interview.
The Interview?
Great
movie. Yeah, great movie.
That's right. That was the first time I ever heard that term, honey dick. Honey pot. You got your honey pot and your honey dick.
That movie is absolutely genius.
I loved it.
It wasn't that big in theaters, but it was big afterwards. So, UFC Brasilia, it was a free card. If you could give it out of 5 stars, Ted, what do you give it considering it was a free fight?
Just looking over here.
And the chat room as well. What do you guys think this deserves in terms of 5 stars? I'm giving it 3.5, 4 stars.
I was giving it 3. I was going to give it 3. Yeah. But just back to the Cyborg thing, because you wanted to talk about weight classes. You want to talk about like the 145? Should they do that? Immediately when I heard that she was challenging Ronda, I thought, oh, okay, it's going to be at 140. It's going to be another 140 fight. They're going to get Ronda to agree to that. I don't know, but that's been the sticking point these past. That's right. That's been the sticking point. Is Ronda's insisted on 135, but will Ronda have that clout come Super Bowl weekend if they do it? If they have it, because there's talk that Ronda's next fight, her return fight, is going to be for the title. She gets an immediate title shot. So say she does, and say she wins, right?
Yeah.
She's going to be the 135 champ again. Now she'll have that power again, and she'll be back on the same horse. You got to fight me at 135. You got to fight me at 135.
Well,
we'll be right back to where we were before. Cyborg say, I can't make that weight. And then we'll never see this fight. It'll be another Mayweather-Pacquiao. It'll happen in 10 years.
Oh, God. You know what? Honestly, I don't think Ronda should take this fight. If it does happen, Super Bowl weekend, I don't think it's good, because if she does lose, it's just going to crush her even more, even deeper. I think that she needs to focus on getting that belt back and then focus on that. If Cyborg does want to fight her, Cyborg, you come down to 135. This is my division. I'm the one to beat at 135.
Yeah, we'll just have to see how it all shakes out, because wasn't Joe Rogan saying, to get into your thought there, wasn't Rogan saying that the UFC should establish a 145?
They should. They definitely should. They can make a whole division off of Cyborg, just like Ronda did with the 135 division.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the whole reason for not doing it is they didn't think that they could assemble enough, a big enough stable, to make to fill a division. I mean, who else is out there? I mean, you got Invicta, which has. I guess they could raid Invicta, and like they did with the strawweights, and just move whatever they got there. They could sign to the UFC.
I'm pretty sure that Invictus, didn't they only start out with like 16 girls?
Oh, when they first started out?
Yeah. I mean,
Probably.
It can happen, man. I think there's a lot of talent out there. It could definitely happen if they wanted to make this, because Cyborg is open to the super fights, though. So she didn't really mention anything about this. What is our chat room saying, though, Ted?
Well, let's see. Oh, I'll just answer Edward this way. I was gonna write him something, but that takes too long. So Edward was writing, isn't Nunez the one to beat or Nunez the one to beat at 135? Yeah, she is right now.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, Cyborg might be calling out Ronda, and she can say whatever she wants, but Ronda is looking at that title shot. I think Ronda's might be looking at Cyborg off in the future. But I think she's going to get the next title shot, whenever that may be. I don't know. Were they talking about 207 maybe, or something like that?
That was the rumor, yeah.
That's the latest rumor. So say that were to happen, she would fight Nunez. Let's just say she wins. Then she's the 135 champ again, and then you got Cyborg nipping at her heels. But then Cyborg's just not going to have much of a leg to stand on if she says, "Come to me at 140." Ronda's like you said, Ronda's going to say, "But I'm the 135 champ. Meet me at 135." I don't know. It's just have to see how it shakes out.
That's the cycle we've been seeing, you know. So that's all we can call. We call a nut a nut. So
yeah.
But he's right, man. Amanda is the one to beat right now at 135. Definitely. I can't wait to see what's going to be her first title defense and what's going to happen there. Juliana Pena kind of really wants it, but then again, my girl Valentina Shevchenko, man, I think she deserves this fight. She already fought this girl before in the past. If you gave her 5 rounds, though, we'd have a different outcome.
Oh, and didn't Valentina say that she wanted a fight with Pena, and then Pena doesn't want to have anything to do with her?
Yeah, that just happened last week.
I mean, that's what she's saying. I don't know. I haven't heard anything from Juliana about it.
Which is crazy, man, because Valentino's like, I don't even care. I'll fight someone below me on the rankings right now because I just want to fight. He's ranked 3rd, bro. He's ranked 3rd in that division.
Oh, and Edward's saying Holm Rousey 2 is the money fight.
It is, though.
I guess it is. Yeah, I mean, Holm's stock has dropped a little bit because of 2 losses. But you could still play that up. You could still hype that. You could say, "Oh, here's the woman that put Ronda out. That knocked her out and drove."
It needs to happen, though. It's going to be hanging over her head the rest of her life if she doesn't redeem herself from that fight against Holly Holm. She needs to get that under, just like Conor did with Nate. It's the same thing.
Right. Michael Bisping versus Dan Henderson.
And look at Conor now. He's on his high horse again, you know?
Yes, he is, in fact. All right, so, I'm looking over my notes to see if there's anything. I think we covered that, unless you want to do anything more on Cyborg there.
Nope, we are all set with that. Let's move on to the UFC 205 presser. Are you ready for that, Ted?
Yeah, let's do it.
Wait, Risen. Let's get rid of the weekend first, right?
Risen.
I
just can't figure it out. I thought I had it figured out, and then I still don't know. I think the thing I came up with was like we rise with Ryzen. I don't know. I've heard it both ways.
I could see that.
Potato, right?
Ryzen.
Yeah. I mean it's Pride 2.0. It's really looking like it. I mean they've got Nobuhiko Takada, who was one of their first stars, and now he's kind of involved in things. And I think they still have Mr. Sakakibara from Pride, and of course the white ring. You got to have the white Pride ring, right?
Yes.
And now we have Wanderlei Silva and Krokop.
Can't wait. Number 3.
Right, it'll be their 3rd. Well, yeah. So let's go back. What do you want to talk about? You want to talk about?
So the biggest news I saw really coming out of this was Crazy Horse's knockout. Not many people knew who Crazy Horse was apparently on Facebook, God. And when they watched this video, they're like, "Who is this guy? That's Crazy
Seriously?
Horse, man."
Noobs. Noobs. Anyway, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
People say the same thing about Gabby Garcia. They were like, "Who the hell is that?" I was like, "That's Gabby Garcia."
Who's Man-Face over there? No,
Garcia.
But anyway, no, I'm kidding. There's room for everybody in this sport. People, newcomers and old heads like you and I. But yeah, Crazy Horse. His real name is for those who don't know. His real name is Charles Bennett. At one time, he tried to name himself Kid Chaos, but that didn't work because he's just Crazy Horse. He's been around for a long time, probably been fighting for 10, 12 years. Fought in King of the Cage. I think that's where he got his start. He's fought in Japan. He's loved over there. And he's absolutely, like his name, crazy. He's actually a skilled fighter. Very tough. But he's had his problems with drugs and with the law in the past. And that seems to be his biggest opponent. He's kind of like a John Jones before there was John Jones.
Oh God, man!
In the sense that he is his biggest challenge. His biggest opponent is himself, and he's got a lot of gold teeth. John Jones doesn't have that, and he's about half the size of John Jones.
Yeah.
He's really a pint-sized, sawed-off kind of dude. But what is he, like $135 or?
He's got to be like that, $135, $140.
Well, it's a little dude. The other backstory is, okay, so he was fighting in Pride, right? And I think he had just fought. Going back about 10 years. He's sitting in the backstage area, and for some reason he runs afoul with the guys from Shootbox, and that's Wanderlei Silva's old group out of Brazil, Shootbox. So this guy, his name was like Cristiano Ronaldo or something like that, picks a fight, says the wrong thing to Crazy Horse. Crazy Horse double legs. Well, Crazy Horse double legs the guy and starts a ground and pound. Meanwhile, you got all the Shootbox guys around him. Crazy Horse starts the ground and pound. This Cristiano guy just does a triangle on Crazy Horse, locks it in, and he falls asleep. Now, if you see the old tapes of that, the old videos of that, that's pretty much where it cuts off, right? What Crazy Horse says happens next is that he woke up and Wanderlei was kicking his feet, so he stood up and bang, he knocked Wanderlei Silva out cold.
Okay. All right.
That's what he says. He knocked him out cold. Right? So that's the backstory. So now we get to Rizin. Wanderlei Silva shows up there. I guess he is in the corner of this guy, Philip Kimura, who is fighting Crazy Horse. But before that even happens, they have this hotel lobby confrontation, Wanderlei and Crazy Horse. Now, there's got to be at least 50 pounds between the two of them. Or maybe 30. I mean, but then again, Rizin will put a fight like that on. They'll do it.
We were talking about this before we even came on. I got to talk with and meet Wanderlei, and I was actually a little bit bigger than him. But now that he's been training a little more, he might be a little bigger. So, depending on that, he must be twice the size of Crazy Horse right now.
Well, and here's the thing. I mean, I saw him next to Crow Cop. He looked like he was maybe $190 or something like that. But it's Japan. Let me just say that.
Okay.
It's Rizin. It's
That's
Japan.
a big thing, too.
They don't test over there for the stuff there's no USADA in
Because
Japan. Let's just leave it at that.
He has a 2-year USADA suspension, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't go on over there in Japan. It doesn't count. So he
doesn't
can
apply
fight
over
there.
apply over there. So, all right. So they had that backstage confrontation, or not backstage. Well, first it was the hotel lobby confrontation. Then after the fight between Crazy Horse and Kimura, there was another confrontation in the arena, backstage at the arena. So there was that too. But anyway, let's talk about the fight itself between Crazy Horse and Kimura.
7-second KO. That's all we need to say.
Lasted a long time.
And there's a lot of people. You're saying Rusty's saying something? What's he saying?
Yeah, Fedor's birthday is today.
Oh, no shit. Congratulations.
So he goes, if we're a fan. Of course we're Fedor fans.
Of course. Also, since we're doing birthday shout-out, Ted, I just want to give a birthday shout-out from Evil and Intoxicated to Rashad Evans and Dodson, whose actual birthdays are this week as well.
Oh, I was going to say, they're the same day as Fedor's? Wow,
no,
that would be
this week. I give weekly birthday shout-outs on my podcast, so I already knew ahead of time that those were already the birthdays of the week. Oh, and make sure you guys check out Pure Evil MMA. It is up on Apple iTunes, dropping every Monday night. Either you're going for your jog in the morning, your morning commute to work, wherever you're going, Pure Evil MMA podcast up on Apple iTunes. If you don't have Apple, don't worry, because it is also on there for my Droid users at podbean.com. Just search Pure Evil MMA on the Pro Wrestling Authority podcasting network. And every Monday night, not only that, SoundCloud has Evil and Intoxicated podcast. Don't miss out on that.
All right. There we go.
Going on to, really to sum this all up really quick, Ted, Gabby Garcia wins by...
Oh, well, wait, hold on one second. Let's finish up the Wanderlei, Crow Cop,
okay.
Crazy Horse thing. Yeah, so suffice to say, Philip Kimura rushes in with, was it like a flying knee or flying... He
was trying to do a flying knee and then kind of hesitated with it.
Right, and that was all Crazy Horse needed. One shot, bang, the guy's done. 7 seconds, and then Crazy Horse with his antics. This is him, backflips and pretending he was masturbating and passing out, and just that's Crazy Horse to a T. That's what you get And they love it over there in Japan. And who knows, we might see, because of the relationship between Bellator and Rizin, we might end up seeing Crazy Horse in Bellator.
Oh, man.
I don't know if America can handle the guy, because it's been so long since he fought over here. Yeah, he's just insane. He calls out Vanderlei, and then they have a backstage confrontation as well. But Vanderlei then got called into the ring again after Krokop won. Krokop beating Hyun Man Myung by head and arm choke, and then calls Vanderlei into the ring, not cage. And so the two set up their fight December 29th at Rizin number 3, which is amazing. I mean, people are saying, these guys are old, they're over the hill. I don't care. This will be the third fight between the two of them. The first one, I think, was in, like, was in 02, a long time ago. The first fight was like Fedor's, like, 5th fight as an MMA fighter. He had a long career as a kickboxer, right? Then he decides he's going to transition to MMA. He gets into Pride. This is like his 5th fight. So you remember Pride rules, the first round was like 10 minutes, and then they went like 5 minutes, and then maybe another 5 minutes.
And the matches were all judged on the entirety of the fight.
The entirety of the fight, right. But for the first fight between Krokop and Vanderlei, it was 5 3-minute rounds. So it's kind of more like a kickboxing bout to kind of favor Krokop just a little bit, since it was only his 5th fight. My God. And so that ended in a draw. That was the other thing, was it wasn't judged on its entirety. If there was no winner, it would be declared a draw, and that's what happened. There was no winner. It was a draw. Second fight happened like 4 years later. It's the Pride Grand Prix, right? I think it's like the semifinals. Vanderlei Silva blows himself up to about 225. Biggest he'd ever been, right? Against Krokop. And I think he got taken down somehow, or got knocked down. I forget how it was. But he ends up on the ground, gets the hell beaten out of him by Krokop, to the point that the ref stops the fight. And Vanderlei Silva, and we talked about this before, begging the ref, begging the doctor, let me go, He's like this, a little bit more, just give me.
Literally begging him.
Begging, a little bit more, just give me a little bit more. They're like, okay, fine. Boof, head kick.
Done.
Yep, done. Left kick, cemetery, bang, right off the top of the head. Went out on his shield, you know. I don't know if Vanderlei's going to come in that heavy again. I mean, he was jacked. He was jacked up. Usually fought around 200, 205. He was 225. People say, this is a little too heavy for him. But, I mean, Krokop fights at, like 235, 240, you know. So we'll just have to see how this third fight goes down, you know. So, I mean, right now, Krokop's got him up by 1, you know.
That's going to be totally awesome, and a huge fight for them over there at Rizin.
Rizin. What is it called that? Rizin Rizin. Yeah, that's it.
So, all right, guys, UFC 205 presser, and our boy who's in the chat.
Wait. You want? Sorry, man.
No, it's good.
You want to talk about Gabby Garcia just for a minute?
Oh, I forgot about Gabby. And,
that's all right, man. I'm here to keep you on track, Eddie.
So, one thing I want to say, guys, a lot of people are being so awful to Gabby Garcia on social media. A lot of people who didn't know who Gabby Garcia was were saying a lot of cruel things about her, you know, and that says a lot about, you know, how people really do feel about judging people out there. And I think it's awful how mean people are to Cyborg and Gabby Garcia. Like, we all have feelings and emotions. She can't help how big she is. She's using that to her advantage, being a fighter, you know? So, a lot of people out there just being cruel. And,
Go ahead, Eddie.
No, I'm just saying that you guys won't hear a lot of that from Pure Evil MMA. Even though it's called Evil, I was raised by my mother, who was a single mother, so I kind of try to show my respect towards women. And my little sister's a little heavier, so it just kind of strikes me in a weird place, you know what I mean? When I see people getting poked fun of, so I had to say something to it, you know?
No, and that's fine. I respect that, Eddie. But I mean, I firmly believe that she's on steroids. I really do. I truly believe that she is. I don't think.
Well, I'm not talking about that. People saying that she's a man and like all this mean stuff.
Well, that is in fact a side effect of steroid use is for women. No, seriously.
Yeah, they got mustaches.
They develop a
testosterone.
man face. Yeah, they develop a man face. I mean, if she may have backed off a little bit, because if you go back to the Ultimate Fighter when it was Silva, Wanderlei Silva, and
she was on there. That's right.
That was when I first saw her, and I'm like, whoa, because she dwarfed him. She dwarfed Silva, and she was really, really big there. I mean, she kind of had like a power lifter kind of look.
Yeah.
But actually, so it seems like she's kind of leaned out, but yet for this fight, she weighed 245. She's about 6'2". Now, somebody was arguing with me on YouTube saying, well, steroids is not going to make you taller. No, that's true. That's true. I mean, that's probably her natural height, 6'1.5", whatever, 6'2". But I really do honestly feel that she is on something, a lot of somethings, and that's why she looks the way she looks. And you'll never see her step foot in the United States unless she, pulls a Brock Lesnar and gets off the stuff, like he did. When Brock Lesnar went from WWE or WWF, whatever it was, to the UFC, you could clearly see an enormous change in his physique. He went from like a 300-pound ripped dude to kind of he was still huge, but he was more normal looking.
Yeah.
He clearly was off the juice.
Yeah.
And that's what Gabby would have to do. Plus, I mean, there's no way she's going to... You see how hard Cyborg has to work to get to 140.
A lot of speculation about Cyborg too, and I saw the stats, man. She was one of the most tested fighters for this event. So, all right, our Gabby Garcia wins by what? Triangle choke, or what was it?
It was a key lock.
Okay, so yeah, she wins by key lock.
Yeah, she took on this woman. What was her name? Destiny Yarborough. No relation to Emmanuel Yarborough, the world's largest athlete or at least the 600-pound black sumo wrestler that from the early UFCs, if you remember that guy.
Of course, he got his tooth knocked out.
No, that was a different guy. That guy he was an Islander.
Oh, okay.
That was Tula Tili or something. That's
who it is. Yeah, that's who I'm thinking.
His tooth. Yeah, it was the first fight ever in the UFC. Boo! Tooth went flying like a fifth row.
Yeah.
Yarborough was that huge sumo dude who fought Keith Hackney, and Hackney won. Hackney probably weighed 200 pounds or whatever.
Did Gracie fight him too, right?
Hoist Gracie, I don't think ever fought Emmanuel Yarborough.
No?
No, I don't think so. But anyway, so Destiny Yarborough, she played some football, and she did have an MMA record, but didn't do so hot against Gabby. So they keep trying to find these big women to fight Gabby, but they haven't found anybody to beat her yet.
Also, honorable mention, Invicta FC was this weekend. We're not really going to get too much into that, even though it was a great event that they put on. There's just too much to cover. Let's get into UFC 205. I know you guys all been waiting for us to discuss this. Some of the biggest news to come out of the UFC this week, and maybe even bigger than UFC 200. I did a poll on Twitter, and I asked everybody, are you more excited for UFC 205 than you were for 200? 80%, and I'll recheck the stats. But as of this afternoon, 80% of the people on Twitter saying yes, we are more pumped for UFC 205 than we were for UFC 200. So they did the presser, Ted. Were you able to watch it, and what was your impression?
They did. Oh, I watched the whole thing. I loved every minute of it. You said you watched it like 5 times.
I watched it 5 times.
I would watch it when I have the time. I will watch it again because that's just how monumental it is. And it's kind of like when I was a kid and Star Wars came out. I know I'm old. When the first Star Wars came out and people go back to the theaters and watch it again and again and again, that's like this. I would watch this again. I don't watch a lot of things over and over and over, but I would watch this again. I plan on it, and because it was just
perfect.
I don't know.
It was perfect.
Oh yeah, just a thing of beauty, if you will. For us hardcores, I mean, other people can look at it and say, "Oh, well, what was that? That doesn't mean anything." You have to be.
We're all getting chills, like, "Oh my God, this is awesome!"
Right. I mean, you gotta be a fan, and then it means something to you. So yeah, it was just like I said, monumental, really.
So we're going to take this step by step because there was a lot of levels to this. A lot of things I wanted to point out about it. First off, Minion McGrunion was saying that he literally had to watch it a couple times because he literally got chills after he watched it the first time. And I think everyone went nuts for it. Our boy Eddie, who's actually in the chat room right now, guys, was there and was actually able to ask a question. And you guys can see his picture. I actually took a snapshot of it right now. All of our listeners can see that. But getting into it, Ted, one of the funniest parts of this presser was Jeremy Stevens was like, at one point, someone was asking, Connor, what do you think of the people who are up on the stage right now? Who do you think is one of the most hard-hitting guys up there? And Jeremy Stevens was like, me, of course, the 145-pound division. Connor goes, who the fuck is that? And then, of course, Jeremy Stevens was like, it's me. And he looks up behind him, and then Jeremy Stevens was like all embarrassed almost. He's like, yeah, Leprechaun. He was like, oh, yeah, good one.
Right. He said, like, it's me. He goes, you know who I am.
Like, who the fuck is that?
Who the fuck is that? You don't do fucking nothing.
Yeah, and then Eddie Alvarez told him to take those stupid glasses off. He was like, make me take these glasses off. And crazy.
I know. It was like I felt like I was in elementary school in a way. Make me. And then so Connor finally takes off his glasses, and Eddie's like, ha, I made you. I was like,
so stupid.
Oh, we in second grade, but it was still funny.
It was funny, but Eddie didn't really have anything to come back. Connor's just too fast-wit with it.
Right. And another funny part, you said Stephen Wonderboy Thompson at one point, when they were doing the glasses, the make me thing, he pulled away Connor's
McGregor's Monster Energy.
He took the water bottle and the Monster can away because he knew it was gonna get. That was what was happening next. Was shit was gonna get thrown.
And you can tell that Eddie, like, originally going into it at first, he was like, all right, here we go with Conor McGregor stuff. But then you could start telling that it was actually bothering him. And then Conor was like, fuck Mark Henry. He's like, fuck Mark Henry. Then Eddie was like, you got 2 jiu-jitsu coaches. Why do you got 2 jiu-jitsu coaches?
Is there a problem with that? I don't get it. But yeah, there's a war going on between John Kavanaugh, Conor's coach, and Mark Henry, who is Eddie's, I guess, his striking coach.
Quick shout out. I'm actually working right now to get Mark Henry on in 2 weeks for Pure Evil MMA podcast. Next week, I'm having CEO of Lion Fight, Scott Kent, and also Jarena Bars is going to be coming on as the headline to discuss her future in Lion Fights. But yeah, I'm working on getting Mark Henry on to discuss all of this, Ted.
Well, sorry, I was just writing a little note. Well, that's awesome, Eddie. I'm happy for you, man. You're just you're getting all sorts of great celebs on your show there, man. I'm totally
a lot
jealous.
of help from a lot of people in the MMA family, though. I can't say I do any of this by myself. A lot of help from the people that believe and support in Pure Evil MMA.
Well, you're a very humble guy.
Thank you for a guy named Evil. I appreciate that.
And we all right. Enough of that. Enough of the mushy shit. Let's go back into it. All right. So we had Connor doing his thing, talking about New York. I love New York. The Irish built this town. Look at everybody up here. They're all looking like me. They all want to be me. Yeah. Talking about. He just pissed off pretty much every fighter up there. Trying to think of what else comes to mind. How about Kelvin Gastelum? Kelvin Gastelum looks like a mini Chris Weidman.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, same hair, same face, same everything. It's like mini me. It's like
Another highlight was definitely the way all ended was perfect. Literally perfect. They're like, all right, we're gonna take one more question. That guy back there in the suit and tie. They give the mic to him, and he goes, Eddie. So you're calling Connor out for going to the 5th round not having gas, but yet you've only been to the 5th round twice and lost once. And Connor was like, I love that guy. And then Eddie was like, wait, what was your question? Connor was like, pretty much his question is, why are you talking shit?
Yeah, that was great. That was funny. And I thought you were talking about the end where they squared off, and Eddie's saying, oh, you got a little boy belt.
Oh yeah.
And then like pretty much everybody in the crowd's like, ole, 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 and kind of, so, I mean, it was kind of weird seeing Eddie getting booed like that.
Yeah, man.
You know,
And you know what's really sad, Ted? And I know that Connor's probably gonna bring this up. I'm a fan of Eddie Alvarez. What I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, we critique. As MMA correspondents, we're supposed to critique what we see in MMA media. So it doesn't mean that we dislike any fighter here. I'm saying that Conor McGregor is probably most likely going to bring this up at one point. Philadelphia is a huge a fight city. Philly, you're a fighter out of Philly. When Eddie Alvarez won the belt for the UFC, that was huge, man. Philadelphia didn't really represent him the way I thought they would. They made him pizza. They made him pizza.
Pizza, not a cheesesteak.
I know, right? But Stipe wins the belt, brings it home to the land. He has a big parade. He's on the basketball screens, promoting the city. Philadelphia brings home a champion, and they don't really do much for him. I know that Connor's going to point that out. Like, my fans, you know what I mean? My fans, you know what I'm saying here?
Well, that could be that could be a weapon that he would use. I don't know what to say about Philly. Yeah, it is a big fight town, and I know everybody knows Eddie there. But I mean, Cleveland has is Believeland. They haven't had a championship in so long. Like I could you can totally see them embracing Stipe because it's like, well, we got a champion now.
It was a wild year.
Well, they had the Cavaliers, right? They won too, right?
Yeah, man, big
but
win
prior to that, they just basically they've been known for losing. So when they get a champion, they just love it. What about Tyron Woodley? Speaking of the boos, what about Tyron Woodley saying, okay, I'll let you boo and get it out of the way, and then I'll talk. And then when he tried to talk, they just booed on top of him.
Welcome to the East Coast.
That's right. Yeah, you don't get to tell the crowd what to do. He is not a popular guy. He is not a popular guy, that's for sure.
And you know what? Stephen Wonderboy Thompson being there as well, totally taken back by this whole experience. Joanna Jędrzejczyk, boy, did she shine here too. As soon as they asked, the crowd went wild, and she sat there like a champion that she is. The way she picked up the microphone. Thank you very much, New York. I'm very happy to be here with you.
Hey, that's a good accent. I like that.
Come on, there's a huge Polish population here on the East Coast, brother.
Dude, you're looking at one.
Oh, that's right, Ted Czechski.
I wish, yeah, but there's we're everywhere. Poles are everywhere, but I loved it when they faced off, Joanna and Carolina, and then I was watching live. I was actually watching it live on YouTube, and you know how they had that running, like we have. They have a chat room, and people are like, oh, kiss, I hope they kiss.
They say some stupid shit in there, and you try to type something quick, and it just disappears. You know what I mean? There's so many people.
I think it's because so many people. Ours is, hey, we've got quality over quantity, all right? We got quality people right here. And people are just chatting. There's so many people jumping on. I think that's why it just rolls so fast. You can barely read the crap that's going there.
Here, let me see what's going on in the chat room really quick. Oh, wait, I guess I shut it down. What's going on in the chat room, Ted? I can't pull it up.
Well, Edward was saying Weidman didn't get the love he deserves sitting there. He pushed hard for the legislation. That's absolutely right. I mean, trying to legalize MMA in New York City or New York in general. He was at the forefront of that, appearing before the legislature. So, yeah, props to him. I believe there was at least one guy that did get up there and thank him for that, I think.
There was.
Yep.
I think only one guy, though. They were like, you've done a lot for getting the sport here. A lot of people that, were on your team trying to get it here as well, like Rashad Evans. Didn't make the card. But no, wait, Rashad is on the card.
Oh, he's on there. He's fighting Tim Kennedy at middleweight.
That's right.
Yeah. Let's see. So what other takeaways?
Dana White announcing that Khabib Nurmagomedov is going to be fighting Michael Johnson.
Yes, Khabib. Yep.
Yeah, Khabib. I say Khabib, it's Khabib.
Wait, Dana White says Khabib too, but
Wanderlei. At least I don't say Wanderlei.
The W's or V's, I guess, I mean, I know they are in Germany. I didn't know they were in Brazil, but
How
you
do
got
you say
Brazil.
Habib just with an H?
Habib. Yeah, the K
Habib.
is silent. It's it's
Habib.
well, he's Dagestani.
Ariel's good at doing that kind of accent. Habib.
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 Yeah, I mean he's a Dagestani, but he's Islamic. Habib is an Arabic name. But anyway, yeah, people on YouTube are like thanking me. Oh, thank you for calling him Habib. Okay, not a big deal. But anyway, yeah. So right, let's get into the whole honey dicking thing
Yeah.
because
Okay.
we
Perfect.
didn't know who was going to fight. It was like a triangle here. We had Connor, we had Eddie, we had Habib. Right? We didn't
Yep.
know who was going to fight whom. We thought at one point it was going to be Connor versus Eddie. Then we heard Habib versus. He got into the mix, right?
Yep.
So what do you think happened there? Was he just used and abused?
So here we go. What happened was we're gonna take it all back. Saturday night, I think it was. Eddie Alvarez tweets out a tweet saying, "It's gonna be me versus Conor McGregor at UFC 205. I'm ready. I'm gonna get an early start, getting ready for this tomorrow." And Conor McGregor kind of seemed down with it, and then he was like, "No, you're gonna have to beg me." And then Dana White goes, "Nope, it's gonna be Eddie Alvarez versus Khabib Nurmagomedov for the title." And
Right.
Conor was like, no. I'm going to be on that UFC 205 card. You guys watch. Don't listen to what Dana's saying. So Jose Aldo's like, oh, that he must be talking about me. I'm going to be on the UFC 205 against Conor McGregor. All right, here we go. Come Monday night, Conor McGregor tweets out, it's official. I'm going to be fighting Eddie Alvarez at UFC 205. Khabib Nurmagomedov freaks out. Jose Aldo freaks out, says that he wants to leave the UFC. Khabib Nurmagomedov, and I'm pulling it up now for all of our viewers, Ted, tweeted out a comment that I really didn't understand that much because it's kind of like that broken English that he talks in. He said, "That's what I call in the deal but not in the share. They didn't guess right. Soon I will make them remember for the mess up. In the end, all of these games will lead up to a closed octagon, and that the only thing I am preparing for. Thank you for all the support."
This is Nurmagomedov saying that.
That's Khabib that said that.
Yeah, so he's basically saying, hey, sooner or later he's going to get his mitts on whoever, one of those guys, Connor or Eddie, and he's going to make him pay, and he's going to show the UFC that they made a mistake in not giving him the title shot. Is how I interpret it, I guess.
Yeah.
He's pissed off, and whoever he gets his hands on next is gonna pay. It's kind of the way. But we've got and Dana White announced this at the presser. It's going to be Habib versus Michael Johnson, which was a fight. What's that?
So all right, that's exactly what I was about to say. They're trying to make compensation because Khabib is so angry here. They were trying to compensate for that, and they're now saying that
Michael Johnson.
Yeah, right. And they're now saying that they're trying to work something special out for Jose Aldo. So a lot of people want to know what MMA correspondents think about this exact situation. What's your thoughts, Ted?
All right. Yeah. I mean, definitely. I think that Habib was used as a pawn to force Connor or Eddie, either way, to force them together. I mean, Connor always wanted that fight. He didn't want to fight anybody else, I don't think, but Eddie Alvarez, because he wants to be a dual weight champion. He wants to be the first guy in UFC history to have two belts in two weight classes at the same time. Nobody's ever done that yet. Randy Couture had the light heavyweight belt and he had the heavyweight belt, not at the same time. BJ Penn had the lightweight belt and the welterweight belt, not at the same time. So Connor will be the first if he can do it. So Connor always wanted to fight Eddie, but I think
whether it was RDA or Eddie Alvarez, he just wanted that belt.
He wants the belt. So for 205, he wanted Eddie. So I think they put Khabib in there. They just mentioned Habib. I said Khabib. I even said Khabib just now.
Look,
stop it! You're making me talk like you. Anyway, they put Habib in there. I think maybe to influence Eddie to agree to Connor. I think Eddie might have been thinking. I don't know. I think he's possibly concerned about Habib. He said, "Oh, I chose you because you're the easier fight." Now that might be just him talking, But Conor's definitely, I don't know. I think it's the money fight because Eddie can demand a higher salary, which we heard that he did try to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's all messed up.
This
Jose
is
Aldo
crazy.
is left in the lurch with nothing, and so then he has said, hey, you know what? I'm retiring. It's obvious that Conor's the boss, but he's not my boss, and so I want out.
Which makes perfect sense. We all knew that something like this was going to happen sooner or later because they're so indirect. And for them to, kind of use them like Pawn saying, all right, it's going to be Khabib versus Eddie Alvarez. You're promising this guy who's been fighting his entire life to be a UFC champion, and they're like, no, we were just trying to deter people so they didn't already know that it was going to be Conor McGregor versus Eddie Alvarez until we wanted to announce it, and it's just not right.
Yeah, it could have been that sort of thing too, because the UFC has a lot of difficulty controlling. They always want to control the narrative and control the message, and we saw with Ariel Helwani and others even before him running into difficulty trying to keep everything under wraps until they can announce it. So yeah, maybe that was it too. Maybe it was to force Eddie to fight Conor. Maybe it was as a distraction so that they could announce it. Who knows? We may never know. But yeah, the bottom line is Jose Aldo is in the lurch and wants out. I actually thought, and I said this before, that should have been the fight. They should have made Conor McGregor versus Aldo. That is the fight that should have taken place. I always knew they were going to set up Conor versus Eddie because that's the big money fight. That's where the stakes are the highest, right? Because you've got two belts that Conor can gain 2 belts. So the stakes are the highest there. But rightfully, Conor should defend that featherweight belt before he does anything else. Okay, enough holding up the division. Defend the belt.
A lot of people are angry that Conor McGregor has never defended his belt before in the past.
Right.
He just is on a straight tear to just, make these, huge fights, becoming champions in other weight divisions. This is what I want to remind you guys of. This is what Conor McGregor set out to do the second he beat Jose Aldo. He set out to be a 2-division champion. Now, what happened was, in case any of you guys missed it, RDA was set up. They were going to do that fight. It was all set, and it was set in stone. RDA gets injured halfway through waiting time, through training camp or whatever. So now Nate Diaz steps up, and Nate is going to fight. Then Nate beats Conor McGregor. So then the train set even further back. Conor had to come back from that, beat Nate Diaz, and now he's back where he wanted to when he just beat Jose Aldo. He didn't want to have to go fight Jose Aldo again to, work his way back up to do this. So I understand it from both sides, but is it right? No, it's not right to do to somebody who was your champion for 10 years.
Yeah, I'm just looking at what Edward's writing here. Aldo's too risky for the first fight in New York. Too risky for Conor, I'm wondering. I don't know about that. Conor already beat him once, in 13 seconds. Now you could say that the second fight wouldn't go the same way, but I still do think that Conor would win. I don't know about risky. I don't know. To me, it's not as big of a money fight. If you're looking at it purely from a business standpoint, Conor versus Eddie is the fight to make. Like I said, because of the 2 belts, possibly 2 belts that Conor could have at the end of that fight, if he wins. So to me, that's just the big money fight, But I think they should have signed Conor versus Jose. Pulled out 5 times, I think. Is Edward saying this again? I'm not sure. Is he talking about Jose? Jose did pull out a lot. He pulled out quite a bit. He pulled out more times than an adult film star.
Oh, what was the best one? I forgot it. Somebody had one of the best tweets about Chris Weidman, and I forgot it. But all right. So Jose Aldo, we do not know what's going to go on right now, but the UFC said they're going to make a special deal with him. Now, I do not know what that special deal is going to be exactly, but Jose is absolutely pissed about this. Not only that, though, this is a great fight. I think Jose should be getting his rest. He was knocked out, that was less than a year ago, man, when Conor McGregor versus Jose Aldo. That was last, November, right?
What was that, 196?
Yeah, last November or October.
No. It wasn't that long ago even.
I think
it was
this
year. It was this year?
Conor McGregor versus Jose Aldo was last year, brother.
Somebody look it up.
I'm telling you, it was last
Yeah.
June, July, August, September, October. I think it was in October.
All right.
Or maybe July. Because I'm positive on that. I remember the party I was at and everything.
All right, man. All right.
Somebody look that up.
You sure you didn't smoke too much there?
I was smoking a lot, but I'm telling you, I know for a fact it was Jose Aldo versus Conor McGregor. Was
Pat's
last
saying
year.
December.
Yeah.
Pat's saying December. Thank you, Pat. Appreciate it.
Pat's back.
UFC 189. Wait a minute.
No, it wasn't 189. UFC 189 was Chad Mendes.
Mini Mendez.
Mini Mendez was UFC 189.
I rest
that
my
was
balls on
July.
your chin.
That was in July.
All right, so hey, let's. You want to look at some of the rest of the card here?
Yeah, let's look at the rest of the card really quick.
All right, so Alvarez and McGregor, Woodley versus Thompson for the welterweight title, Joanna versus Carolina for the strawweight title. So three title fights. I don't know that we've ever had 3 title fights.
That's wild.
Chris Weidman versus Yoel Romero. That's going to be a great one.
Great.
And I think that'll determine the next number 1 contender for the middleweight title. Cerrone versus Gastelum. Kelvin Gastelum. That should be interesting. Habib, your buddy Khabib, versus Michael Johnson. Johnson. Oh, I want to say Johnson asked for that fight. Careful what
he did.
Johnson asked for that fight, and then Habib tweeted him back anytime, any place. So, boom, they quickly signed that one. I like that. I think that was a great addition.
That's a great fight matchup right there. I can't wait for that.
How about Frankie Edgar versus Jeremy Stevens?
Perfect fight.
Right, I like that one. I mean, you got Frankie with the boxing and the footwork and the takedowns. Jeremy Stevens with the KO power.
Power, yeah.
Right. Misha Tate. Here's one that they signed that's kind of under the radar here. Misha Tate versus Raquel Pennington.
Love that fight.
How come Misha wasn't on stage?
I don't know.
I'm bummed about that.
I think she was just in New York too, so I don't know why she wasn't there.
She had plenty of time to come down from that mountain, carrying that girl and everything.
Yeah.
Tim the Barbarian Boach versus Rafael Natal.
Tim Boach.
Yep. From Pennsylvania.
Yep.
Jim Miller versus Thiago Alves. Lyman Good versus Belal Muhammad and Liz Carmouche.
Oh!
What was that for?
Bilal Muhammad, man. He's one of my favorite fighters so far this year. A lot of people out there saying that I look like him, too.
Is that right?
A lot of people saying I look like Bilal Muhammad.
Is that right? you got that big
shout out to General Yusuf because he's the one that's always saying that.
You got the big Islamic beard going on there.
Right.
And Liz Carmouche versus Caitlin
Chukagian.
Chukagian.
Yep.
Okay. All right, we'll go with yours on that one. Chukagian.
I like Chukagian. Chukagian? I like Chukagian. It's like Copenhagen almost, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 fights.
And there's still supposed to be 2 more announcements, I heard.
What? No
That's
way.
what I heard.
Come on.
That would be 15 fights. That's unheard of.
Oh my God, that's insane.
I thought there were still 2 more. Maybe one of those 2 of those fights are what they announced, but
Eddie, even without, let's just say they didn't sign 2 more fights. This is stacking up
those
to be
are
the best
all
card
main
ever.
event cards right there. Whether it's free
Stacking up
cards,
to be the best card ever.
it really is. So that brings us back to my original question, Ted. Is this more exciting than UFC 200?
Oh, by far. I mean, I was more excited for 202, because Conor was on it. But 200, the fights, they were good. They weren't great. Like these fights, just on paper at least, we don't know how they're going to be. We don't know if they're going to be exciting or not. You know what I mean? But just on paper, they look great. Woodley versus Thompson. Woodley, the champion.
Finally.
Right. Woodley, short, stocky, muscle-bound wrestler dude with one-punch knockout power. Thompson, tall, lanky karate guy.
Love that matchup.
Joanna versus Carolina, two hot Polish women. Chris Weidman versus Yoel Romero. Weidman is a wrestler. So is Romero is an Olympic wrestler, for God's sake.
Oh my.
Possibly, that will determine the new number 1 contender. So it's like there's more styles making fights. There's more at stake with this card than
A
there
lot
was
is at stake
200.
here.
What's that?
A lot is at stake.
Yeah, so it's just, I don't know, there's just so much energy coming off of this card.
So
you know,
depending on the outcome of that Chris Weidman fight too, we just want to let you guys know that, like Ted said, that's the #1 contender shot. So now if at UFC 204, we're going to find out whether that belt's going to be open or not for that Chris Weidman fight.
Right, yeah. I mean, so you got Bisping defending against Hendo. Said he's going to knock him out and then give him one more, just like Hendo did to him at, that was UFC 100, wasn't it?
That was at UFC 100, the finale of The Ultimate Fighter.
Right. So he got him, and with the overhand, I guess it was, and then boom, yeah. So we'll just have to see. I mean, and I've said this before. If Hendo wins, I actually don't see him walking off into the sunset. I see him attempting to defend that belt. I think he's going to want to defend it. He's going to be like, look, I'm 46. I know I should retire. I just won this belt, but I'm gonna. He's a fighter through and through. He's gonna try to defend it once. Mark my words.
I mean, it would really be a fairy tale ending to that man's legacy, and something that we really don't get to see often.
Right, because he had 2 belts simultaneously in Pride. He was the Strikeforce champion. He actually, believe it or not, was in the UFC a long time ago. He never won a belt. He won a tournament back when they still did tournaments. He won a tournament and then went to Pride. So the guy, his legacy is cemented anyway, even if he doesn't win. You know what I mean?
Fedor Emelianenko.
Right. So he's a Hall of Famer, done deal. Anyway.
And got a dime piece for a wife.
Well, yes, he does. You got. Hey, man, you got to have the trophy wife, right?
Yep.
So this would just be the cherry on top, if you were to get this belt. But Bisping seems to be on a roll, and he seems to be he's a man on a mission. He wants to gain revenge on everybody who's ever beaten him.
And he's done a lot of improvements since that last fight at UFC 100. And I said it last time. If we got any new listeners out there, Ted, I said it already. If Michael Bisping beats Dan Henderson here, I'm giving him 2016 UFC Fighter of the Year.
I would have to agree with you.
Without a doubt. Beating Anderson Silva, Luke Rockhold, Dan Henderson. Come on.
Yep. No, I would totally agree with you, man. Yeah, he should get Fighter of the Year. Hey, I'm just to backtrack just for a second. I'm looking over the 205 card. I mean, was there anything else that you want to talk about there? Any other any other news items that you want to talk about with that one?
Yes, definitely. Before we end that, Conor McGregor calling it out, first round TKO.
Yeah.
So what happens here is one of the people in the audience asks, is Mystic Max still running? And if so, what is he predicting? So Conor McGregor was about to say something. Eddie Alvarez goes, careful now, be careful. Conor goes, oh what? Oh what? You'll do what?
You'll do fucking nothing.
You'll do nothing. So of course that pumped him up, and he says he's gonna knock him out in the first round.
Mm-hmm. There we go, Mystic Mac. I mean, jeez, I don't know. I mean, Eddie Alvarez, he's one of these guys. It's almost like he needs to get knocked down, and that like wakes him up. And he's like, oh, it's go time. You know what I mean? He gets knocked down, he gets back. He always gets back up.
Got dangerous hands, too.
Yeah. I mean, he's got the wrestling. And he even said, I think it was, I forget when this was, earlier this year maybe, the way to beat Conor is
take him to the ground.
Take him to the ground. So
he said, I don't know what's so hard about this. I don't know why nobody's beating him.
And he might say in the build up to this fight, he might say that he's going to stand and bang with Conor. I don't think he will. I think he's going to go right to the ground. He's going to go for that double or whatever, and try to take him to the ground. Question is, what will Conor do once he is on his back? Will it be more like a Mendez thing? Will he be going, is that the best you got?
He was hurting Mendez on his back, though, man. He was, clapping the ears. He did get hurt himself, though, but he didn't do too bad there. Also, one thing I want to mention, too, which I thought was kind of crazy, Ted, that stood out to me was Eddie Alvarez not asking for more money here. This is a huge money fight.
Because there was that rumor there was that rumor that he actually stalled the talks because he asked for more money, but then I've heard that maybe he didn't, and then I've heard all sorts of. I've heard he's getting $200,000 plus he's getting X amount of money on the back end, for the pay-per-view buys, and I don't know.
Conor's making a killing, man. He's playing the game right.
Makes me wonder if Conor, every fight, if he's just going to ask for like another mil, because like you got $2 million for the first Nate Diaz fight, right, and then he got $3 million for the second Nate Diaz fight.
He's the cash cow, man.
So for this one, did he say, hey, look, you're going to stand to make more on your pay-per-view buys and more on the gate than you've ever made before in one event. So therefore, I'm worth more to you. I want 4. I'm wondering. Like I think he just actually, he's got so much clout. I think he renegotiates every time before every fight. He renegotiates.
He's breaking records. You know what I mean? Like the money's there, but these guys have so much. They just sold the company for $4.2 billion, which was the very first question of the presser was, Dana White, you sold the company for $4.2 billion. I want to know how much you think Conor's worth, and Conor, I want to know how much you think you're worth. Conor goes, $4.2 billion.
Well, he said and there's later on, he said he thinks he's going to, by the end of the year, he will have made $40 million.
So crazy. Devlin is loving her life.
Yeah, and there was something else, too, that Dana said about there's something going on in Conor's life. He wouldn't say anything more, but he's like, he needs this fight to happen now because of, everyone's saying, oh, is Dee pregnant?
Dude, that's going to be like a royalty baby. You realize that, right? That baby's going to be like royalty living the life, man.
Geez, I don't know. How do
you even picture that?
Oh God, that's like the Trump kids. You know what I mean? You're just born into the lap of luxury.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, oh my God, I was thinking about that too. Like, that's going to be happening soon, so that is probably the news.
Yeah, Dana White didn't say anything more about it. He just said, oh, he'll announce it when he's good and ready to. But hey, how about Donald Cerrone? He had a problem with Conor at the last presser, I think it was, and then he was asked about Conor again, and it's, what do you call him, a joker or whatever?
Yeah, let this joker sit here and do his little show or whatever. Yeah,
right. Yeah, I mean, and maybe there's a little bit of jealousy there, but I don't know. I mean, Cowboy can still fight at 155. We might end up seeing that at some point in the future. You never know.
Cowboy could be the champion right now. He had that fight with RDA, and we all know what happened there. But I'm looking forward to Cowboy's fight here against Kelvin Gastelum. That's a great matchup.
Yep. For sure, man. Tim Kennedy versus Rashad Evans. Rashad Evans' his first fight at 185. Kennedy hasn't fought in like 2 years since he faced Yoel Romero. He's kept himself busy, though. I've been kind of following Tim Kennedy. I mean, he's got a lot of stuff going on, but he says he still gets in 2 to 3 training sessions a day.
Wow.
He's an absolute madman. I guess that's how you keep PTSD away. You just train like an absolute, freak. And because he had that post about it, and it was a kind of a controversial post about saying that if you're a veteran and you get PTSD, that's a sign of weakness or something like that. It was kind of a controversial thing that he wrote up on his Facebook, but he's got a lot of irons in the fire. He's filming, I think, the second season of Hunting Hitler. He's got that company, Sheepdog Response, where he trains law enforcement and civilians in they go on the range and they shoot. They go into the gym and they train, and it's like a whole protection type thing that he teaches just people how to be modern day soldiers.
So I would love to be able to go to UFC 205. Tickets though, Ted, are ridiculously expensive right now.
Yes, they are.
Ridiculous. So all right, anything else that you guys want to talk about UFC 205 before we get into the main event, talking about the upcoming weekend's fight, which is UFC Fight Night 96.
Yeah, man.
What's
Dodson
going on in the what, Ted?
Oh, I just said Dodson versus Lineker.
Oh yeah. Before we get into that, what's the chat room saying right now?
Oh, Ann was.
Ann's here.
Oh, sure, man.
I didn't know Ann was watching.
Ann is always here.
What's going on, Ann? Tell Mike I said hi. Ted, let me just give a quick shout out to the Pure Evil Army. They always want to make sure I say that.
No, you can't do it.
They get a little angry if I don't say hi to everybody. So a huge shout out to the Pure Evil Army. You guys literally mean so much. Big news this week. I told you we all got we made the editors page for the podcast on Clamor. So congratulations to everybody for helping us move to this point. We're gonna have a lot of new listeners now. Shout out to Kara. Shout out to Ann, Yusuf. Shout out to Minion. Minion has done so much for us here at Pure Evil MMA. Shout out to Sed, Rizzer, Kara, Leslie, Jody. You know, Ted, what these people do for Pure Evil MMA, man, is just absolutely crazy. You know, I can't always be on Twitter. I can't always, you know, I'm even surprised how much I'm on there engaging with everybody because I do a lot of work, man, throughout the day, whether I'm working on the show, whatever I'm doing, I'm always working something for the show. You know what I mean?
Working hard.
I'm Pure Evil MMA driven. That is my life. I am Evil Eddie. This isn't a character. This is me. This is my life. I can't make it on Twitter all the time, guys. So a lot of big things have been happening lately. I love you all. You guys all did great. This is why I have members of the week. This is why we have the UFC Pick'em thing. Have fun. We all meet up. But on fight night especially, if I'm not in the chat room or anything, don't panic because I'm out there doing a lot of promoting for us. So don't get mad at me if I'm not responding right away. Shout out to Ann. Ann, you're the best. Ted, actually, Ann was our winner this week for UFC Pick'em Crystal Skull winner. So congratulations to Ann. Amazing predictions she had this week.
Nice. Yeah, she keeps putting the skull emoji there. I guess that's why she's doing that.
Oh yeah, she got the Crystal Skull. She's the Crystal Skull champion right now. And if any new listeners out there don't know what I'm talking about, you want to check. You want to be a part of the Pure Evil Army, the Pure Evil MMA movement. All you got to do is follow the Pure Evil MMA podcast up on Apple iTunes, Podbean.com. And follow me on Twitter. I will get you right into the chat room, and we can start from there. We do UFC Pick'ems every weekend for the event. Share your predictions with us. It's just MMA fans all having fun. No need to get emotional. Bring your life. This is a getaway to enjoy MMA.
Yeah, don't bring your problems into it. No personal problems. Check those at the door.
So yeah, just shout out to the Pure Evil Army.
Stupid.
No. Ann, thank you so much. And Mike, thank you guys so much. Leslie did a lot for us. Yusuf, Ted, Minion, everyone, thank you guys so much. So, Ted, let's get right into it, man.
Mm-hmm.
Lineker versus John Dodson. How do you like this matchup?
Oh, well, I like it a lot.
I like it a lot.
Yeah. No, John versus John. I mean, you got two guys that were flyweights, right?
Yep.
And they're now at bantamweight. And both of them have faced Demetrius Johnson, the flyweight champion.
Yep.
Actually, Dodson faced him twice.
And almost beat him in that first round, that first fight.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he knocked DJ down like 3 times in that fight.
Yep.
Still ended up losing. And Lineker also lost. I forget how that one, exactly what the finish was there, but he lost to Mighty Mouse as well. So, you know, what are you going to do? You know, if you can move to another weight class, you know, it might be better to do that. And, you know, as far as I can tell, both of these guys have flourished in the bantamweight division since moving to it. So we've got basically what it boils down to is, I mean, you got two guys that both have knockout power, but I would give a slight edge in knockout power to John Lineker over Dodson. I would give Dodson a fairly significant speed advantage.
Yes.
Yeah, and also a more well-roundedness.
I mean, Lineker will literally just throw down with you, you know?
Well, that's the thing. Lineker wants you to stand in front of him.
And he's very heavy with his punches. You know, they're not sharp punches. They're very heavy.
He got a lot of windmill action there.
Yeah, yes.
Lineker wants you to stand in front of him and bang. Dodson's not going to do that. Dodson
he's
the Energizer Bunny.
Yeah.
He's going to be bouncing all around. Ding, 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 ding. So it's going to be very difficult for Lineker. Lineker's going to be like, will you just stop so I can hit you, please? just stay right there just for a second so I can hit you.
That's frustrating, man. I don't know if you've ever been to a fight, or even baseball. When you miss swinging at the baseball, it's frustrating.
Sure is, man. Yeah, I mean, sucks striking out.
And John Dodson is literally the fastest man in the UFC easily.
Yeah, and Mighty Mouse. I mean, I'd say they're about tied. I mean,
yeah.
Well, I mean,
the way the video game breaks it down was like how they have the speed notches. Like, John Dodson is over Mighty Mouse by like 2
is that right?
points. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, okay. All right. I mean, I'll go with that. Sure. I mean, yeah. So, yeah, as Pat said, speed kills, and it certainly does. I mean, we saw that in
the Manny Gambarian fight.
Yes, and we saw that in the Conor versus Aldo. I mean, Conor was first. Conor got hit by Aldo's punch, but it was only after he connected on Aldo. So I do see Dodson winning this fight. I don't know if he's going to be able to knock Lineker out. It might end up being like a unanimous decision.
Ooh, 5 rounds.
Hey, I mean, these guys are in shape. They can do it.
Exactly. I mean, it's not like they're bigger guys. It could easily go 5 rounds.
Yeah, I'm going with unanimous decision for Dodson.
That's a good call because you never know when it comes down to this weight class. But honestly, Ted, John Dodson has 10 knockouts, 2 wins by submission, 7 wins by decision. So I do understand that. Let's look at John Lineker really quick. And let alone if John Dodson beats Lineker here in this division, he's gonna jump right up the ranks. John Lineker is ranked 3rd here. So.
And where's Dodson?
10.
Oh, okay.
But you know what? Lineker is on a huge win streak. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fight win streak. That last one against Michael McDonald was huge, man. That went down quick in the first round. John Lineker, 13 wins by knockout, 4 wins by submission, and 11 wins by decision. So I do kind of see this kind of your point here. It could go to decision here, but then again, his takedown accuracy is pretty good as well. He could easily lay a ground and pound if he catches John Dodson.
That's true. Yep. Yeah, I don't know. How is Lineker on the ground? I mean, he's a Brazilian. You wouldn't know it just by hearing his name, but he is a Brazilian. I mean, is he? He prefers to stand and bang, but I mean, what's his rank in jiu-jitsu?
I am not sure, but we do know he's an aggressive fighter. He's got great cardio,
right?
But the speed just isn't going to match up. I don't see the speed matching up here. I think John Dodson is going to do it here, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
One more thing I want to talk about quick. Ill Will Brooks is fighting Alex the Cowboy Oliveira, Ted.
Oh, okay.
And you're familiar with both of these fighters. Cowboy just coming off that fight with
Cowboy,
but he also had a fight after that where he did win.
Did he? Okay.
He showed the world a lot that night. Even though Cowboy won that fight, he really did do a really good job in there. So Ill Will Brooks coming in here with a record of 18-1. We saw his last fight against Ross Pearson where he did amazing. What do you think here, though? Will Brooks or Cowboy?
Well, I think, Cowboy is...
Wait. We can't even call him Cowboy anymore, remember?
Well, that was loser loses the nickname, right?
Yeah, so what do we call him now?
I don't know, but it's kind of like if we ever get that fight between Mickey Gall and Sage Northcutt, loser has to shave their head.
That needs to happen.
Oh, absolutely.
And he needs to get his head shaved in the octagon.
Right in the octagon, absolutely. Just like pro wrestling, just shave it right off.
Right there.
Or just get the nair out and just pull it right out with the nair. Anyway, Will Brooks. I mean, this guy is climbing the ladder in the lightweight division. I just don't see that Oliveira has too much for him. You know what I mean? I mean, he's a good, solid fighter. I just don't see that there's really any area where he is going to where he can dominate Will Brooks. Will's on a mission. He's going to try to get to the top. And he's going to go through Cowboy to get there.
I agree, man. Will Brooks is definitely on a mission and only lost once. His wrestling is absolutely amazing. I'm going with Will Brooks here, but Alex could win. I mean, it's not that lopsided. He is He's a strong dude. Only has 3 losses. Will Brooks, though, I see him coming out on top. Ted, I actually got to speak with somebody on this card Sunday night. I got to speak with the Barn Cat.
Tamden McCrory.
There you go, bro.
All right. I've interviewed him a few years back.
No shit.
Yeah, it was at a local show here in I think it was in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. It was in Lancaster. He was there because he was at the time he probably still lives in upstate New York. But I don't know if he's still affiliated with the academy that he had at that time. But he was there as a corner man. He was cornering some other fighters, and I'll have to send you the clip. But yeah, I saw him backstage real quick, and this was in that 5-year period when he wasn't fighting.
Oh, okay. This was after he got cut from the UFC. After he got
cut from the UFC. This was after that, and so it was somewhere in that 5-year period where he wasn't fighting. But I was like, I saw him from afar, you know, it was like I said, it was at this local show, and I'm like, I know that cat. And
it's the Barn Cat.
I know that cat. That's the Barn Cat. And so then I had a camera guy with me, and we went backstage and just talked to him real quick.
Now, Ted, when you go to shows, I don't mean you can finish in a second. When you go to shows, do you hire a cameraman?
No, I was just a buddy of mine. We were co-workers at the time. Okay. And we were just starting off. This was probably like 2008, 2009, somewhere in there. We were just starting off in YouTube, and we were doing like a little show, kind of similar to this, except we would sit in the same room. And yeah, so we were just like, oh, let's go to the show, bring the camera, and we'll shoot some videos, you know.
That's legit. Yeah. So
yeah.
What did you get out of that interview?
Oh, just that he was doing well, and he was still training, and he wanted to return. He didn't really get into, you know, what was going on with him. But yeah, they did an interview with him because he's got a fight coming up, and they did an interview with him, and he and his wife. So, you know, there's a lot going on in his life at the time, but it's like one of these things where when the time was right for him to come back, and it just had happened, you know?
Well, you know what? I think he came into the UFC too soon. He started training at 19 years old and was signed into the UFC at 20. So there's your problem right there. And his last...
Yeah, a little on the young side, sure. I mean, we can see that with inexperience, you know, guys like Sage Northcutt, you know, and Paige Van Zandt. You get into the UFC too young, and you get thrown into the Shark Tank.
I mean, he was fighting people like John Howard and shit. So, you know, he came back into the UFC last December. He won against Josh Berkman, and then he recently just lost to Juno. But you know what? I got to speak with him here. He said that he is so ready for this fight. He actually went out to Las Vegas to start training. You know, get some more sparring partners, training with Dewey over there. So I'm looking forward to this. The UFC actually had like a little special for him that they made of his return and his goals right now for this fight. So I'm looking forward to that. Who do you think is going to win this fight, though? He's going up against Nate Marquardt, who's at the end of his career, if you ask me. I don't know. It's a hit or a miss with him as well.
Right, yeah. Nate Marquardt, yeah, at this stage, he's kind of hot and cold. You know what I mean? He has flashes of brilliance, and then, you know, and then you're like, whoa, what's going on with this guy?
What's going on? Yeah.
Right. Now you say with Tamden, you say he was training with Dewey. You said Dewey Cooper.
Dewey Cooper.
Oh, the Black Cobra.
Dewey Cooper. Yep.
Yeah, he used to train at. Is he still at One Kick Nicks?
Is it in Vegas?
Yeah.
It might be. I mean,
One Kick Nicks. Yeah, Nick. Oh God, what is his last name? But his nickname is One Kick. He's a famous kickboxing trainer out there. And Dewey used to train at Nick's place.
Yeah, man. Nate Marquardt literally almost has 50 fights now in the. He has 55 matches in MMA. 37 of those wins. 12 of them knockouts. 14 submissions, and only 11 decisions. But
yeah, guy's been around for a long time. He's a former Pancrase, king of Pancrase.
He's hot and cold. So this is an even fight, though. I think Tamden is going to take this one here.
Yeah, I'd have to go with that.
And one last mention really quick. Andre Feely, touchy-feely, going against Hakron Diaz.
You just want to say touchy-feely. Every chance you get.
So touchy-feely coming in this fight, coming off a loss. His last loss was to Yair Rodriguez, who I cannot wait to see his next fight.
Yo.
Yo. Spin, spin. Andre Feely having a tough time recently after that last loss, but I have enough faith in him here to beat Hakron Diaz, who's coming off a loss himself to Cub Swanson.
Well, Eddie, you know what? I trust your judgment in this one, so I'm gonna have to go with that. I'm going with you.
Touchy-feely got knocked out in that last fight to Yair Rodriguez in a crazy way with that flying knee. Yair Rodriguez is just a dangerous man.
Very scary.
That fight is going to be this weekend, guys, and it's going to be free once again on FS1. So I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be October 1st, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern time, allegedly, I'm seeing here. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to be giving live updates on my Facebook page, so definitely search me on Facebook, Pure Evil MMA, and also on Twitter. I give live updates throughout the fight. I give all my predictions. I'll show you guys a little quick image right here of what I usually do. Here's my Fight Night 95 card. You see how I have the card there, and I have my pick circled. So that's what you guys can look forward to come this weekend. I'm going to be covering the fights. Ted, what are you going to be doing for the fights, brother?
That's a very good question. I don't know. I'll catch them at home, or maybe I've got some guys in the neighborhood that sometimes watch the fights. But yeah, I usually, for the big ones, for the pay-per-views, I like to go to B-Dubs. I like to go to Buffalo Wild Wings.
B-Dubs. I like the nickname.
B-Dubs. Yeah, I forget which one it was. It was 202. We were there for 202.
That's right. You were telling me about that.
Yeah, brought the family, and
you said the place was going nuts.
Every time there's a knockdown, everyone else. It's great. It's great fun. Of course, my wife is oblivious to all that because she hates the sport. She's talking with her girlfriend, and she was like, "Oh, why are they all saying oh?" It's like, okay, just keep talking. You don't get it.
You do the best voices.
Never watch the fights, one or the other.
Ted, my favorite voices that you've done was the South Park gnomes. Step number 1.
Step 1, get underpants. Step 2, step 3, profit.
What happened to step 2?
What's step 2?
That was fucking great. So yeah, these fights are going to be going down this weekend, and then following our next week's show, Ted, episode number 16, we're going to be finally covering Dan Henderson versus Bisping, which is a huge fight for all UFC fans that's been watching the sport for a while. Once again, I'm going to say it, the UFC has been spoiling us, man, week after week with these great cards.
Oh man, we are. This is like some high we're on. This just doesn't seem real. It's surreal that every week we've got a card. We're spoiled, like you say, and what a downer it's going to be once we get to that whatever weekend that is. I don't even want to know. I don't even want to know when it is, but once we get to that weekend where there isn't one, it's going to be like DTs,
Yeah, it looks like we got a couple of weeks still after that as well. BJ Penn, Ricardo Lamas. Minion McGrunion saying that these are wave cards. They're literally coming in like waves, and each card that's coming up is more and more exciting.
It's a UFC tsunami.
I gotta tell Minion that. That's great.
Yeah.
So definitely check out Minion McGrunion's videos as well. He does the breakdowns. He's the guy you hear on my podcast doing the. And if you guys haven't heard the Pure Evil MMA podcast, I'm gonna highly suggest you listen to it. I'm actually on episode number 18 right now, Ted, of Pure Evil MMA.
Oh, with your podcast
on Apple iTunes and Podbean.com.
Your wildly popular podcast. I mean that seriously. I mean, that's
just got promoted to Clamor, the editor page. Man, 15,000 people are going to be hearing the podcast.
What's Clamor?
Clamor is all right. So if you have a podcast that you want, kind of to promote, there's so many shows out there. You even said it yourself. It's hard to find shows out there that you don't even know are there. So you put your show on Clamor, and say if you type in UFC. you'll listen to all the UFC podcasts, and if you like it, you can. There's 24-second clips that I pick out of the show that I thought was a nice, entertaining clip, and
Nice
if the person
soundbite,
that hears it likes it, they can click the button, and it'll bring them to the full episode. They can subscribe to my podcast. And I'm gonna have 15,000 people that will be able to hear it now, and if they like it, I'll get their subscription.
Oh, that's great. That's fantastic, man. Wow.
It's a good way to get your name out there.
I gotta get on that.
I'll put this on there, Evil and Intoxicated, because you can add it from SoundCloud.
Like I gotta figure something out.
We will.
No, I mean personally, me. Like you got your own thing.
Oh yeah.
That's your evil thing.
Yep. Yeah, man. Your Facebook. Anyone out there that's watching right now, Ted does his Facebook Live and also has the YouTube channel. You guys definitely should go check that out. As we come to wrap up the show, Ted, you know how we usually do this. Is there anything else that's going on in the chat room?
Let's see. Ann was talking about they go. She and Mike go to the casino. They go to the local casino to watch the pay-per-view. It's like Cheers. Everybody knows her name. She likes Minion's accent. I do too. I gotta say, anytime you hear anybody with he's British, right?
Yeah, he lives in France, but he's British.
Okay, British accent. Automatically, you get like 20 points of authority. Like the person just sounds like they know more, and they're more of an authority because they're speaking with a British accent. It's just the way it is. Okay, just the way it is. You want to listen to that person. You're like, oh, this person really knows what they're talking about. They got a British accent.
And you know what, Ted? In defense to that, Minion is one of the smartest people I've got to talk to. Really helps me a lot with the show.
So he's the real deal.
Yeah, man. Oh, easily. A professional, man. Somebody that really shouldn't be mixing in with people that like to fool around. He takes what he does very seriously, and I totally respect that.
Awesome. Great.
So definitely check out his stuff. That is also on YouTube. Just search Minion McGrunnan. You can find the link to that on Twitter. Follow Minion on there. What else is going on in the chat room, Ted, before we close out today's show?
That's kind of well, Pat's saying Hendo by H-Bomb round 1. I mean, it is tough to pick against Hendo. I mean, he is 46, and Bisping feels that it's his destiny, but tough to pick against Hendo. So Pat's saying Hendo H-Bomb round 1.
Pat, you always say round 1, brother. You always call the first round knockout.
Well, if you figure, he's got to be right some of the time.
Oh, yeah.
If you always go with round 1.
But honestly though, if you guys want to join in and see all of the people's picks here that are in the chat room and part of the Pure Evil MMA army, all you got to do is use hashtag Pure Evil MMA. Ted, before I give my tags, closing out today's show, anything you want to bring up to the table, tell people where they can find all of your stuff and what they can expect from you in the next week to come on your YouTube page.
Well, yeah, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, I'm on YouTube, TEDCZECH. Join me, hook up with me on any one of those. With the YouTube channel, that's the main area that
that's the mothership.
Yeah, that's kind of the mothership. I try to talk with people as much as I can on there.
It's hard though, man. Like when people get angry if you're not right there that second it's hard doing what we do as entertainment. We try, we try.
Right. So I try to stay up on as much of the news as I can to give my opinion for what it's worth. Maybe it isn't worth too much, but and then I also do. I've been getting into these other videos where I kind of tell a story with the pictures and videos that I can share using it's like a screen capture or whatever. So you just hear me narrating, and then I do it that way, so you don't have to look at my ugly mug all the time,
Which is fun to do. I love doing voiceovers.
Yeah, it is good. A little variety there, a little diversity.
So yeah, man, you guys definitely should go check Ted's page out. You can find me on Twitter as well. Ted, was that all you had for your tag?
No, I'm good, man. I am good.
All right. So you guys can find me on Twitter at evil_echo. That's EVIL_ECCO. If you want to be part of the Pure Evil Army, all you got to do is use hashtag Pure Evil MMA or Pure Evil Army. Become part of the group. Make your predictions with us on UFC Pick'em. All you got to do is contact me on Twitter or even on Facebook. Ted, I've been overwhelmed with Facebook people comments all day. Literally every time I shut down my Twitter, I got 100 comments, friend requests on Facebook. I literally have to screenshot all the time because people don't believe me. I literally take screenshots and I'm like, no, literally, I have hundreds of people trying to talk with me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and I'm trying to keep up the best I can and keep all the media content coming out. I'm scrambling, and people are like, oh, he's ignoring me. I'm not ignoring you.
Wow, are you seriously? You're taking heat for that?
I'm not ignoring you. I'm busy doing something. I appreciate everything that everyone does. I give everyone shout outs. It's hard, man. I got so many people, so many different platforms to cover. So I literally try to do the best I can. You guys mean a lot to me. Just use Pure Evil MMA as your hashtag, Pure Evil Army. Find me on Facebook, like us on Facebook. This gets us into episode number 15 of Evil and Intoxicated. You guys have a great night from the Pure Evil MMA studios and from Pennsylvania. Ted, what part of Pennsylvania are you from?
You could call it South Central PA.
From South Central PA in the Evil Boy Studios in New Haven, Connecticut. We're out, guys. The Haven Zone.